By mid-1942, the United States Navy is on its heels. Half a year after Pearl Harbor, the Pacific Fleet is severely depleted, and the Japanese Empire is expanding across the ocean with staggering speed. Leading that expansion is Admiral Isoroku Yamamoto. He knows the Americans still have a few surviving aircraft carriers, and he devises an elaborate operation to lure them out into the open ocean where he can sink them for good. This map shows how he plans to lure the Americans. Yamamoto splits his massive armada into widely dispersed groups. He deliberately holds his heaviest battleships hundreds of miles behind a vanguard of 4 fast aircraft carriers, attempting to conceal his force's true size. This extreme separation is designed to project a false sense of security. It is a massive deception that relies entirely on one assumption, that the Americans are blind to the reality. The Americans, however, are listening. Deep in a basement at Pearl Harbor, cryptanalysts at Station Hypo have partially cracked the Japanese Navy's main operational code, known as JN-25B. They intercept chatter about a massive impending assault on a location designated only as AF. American intelligence heavily suspects AF is the Midway Atoll, a vital outpost northwest of Hawaii. To confirm it, they instruct the Midway base to broadcast an uncoded, fake radio message complaining that their water purification system has broken down. Within 24 hours, the Japanese encrypt and transmit a new internal message: AF is short on water. Admiral Chester Nimitz now holds the exact location and date of the upcoming attack. By reading the enemy's mail, Nimitz holds Yamamoto's entire playbook. He doesn't have to react blindly to a surprise assault. He can carefully position his surviving forces to ambush the attackers. Nimitz takes his 3 available carriers, the USS Enterprise, the USS Hornet, and a patched-up Yorktown, and rushes them to a spot in the ocean northeast of Midway. They call the coordinate Point Luck. Viewing the fleets side by side, the difference is stark. Nimitz packs his ships tightly, while Yamamoto's are scattered across the ocean. Looking closer at the Japanese vanguard, the flaw is exposed. Leaving battleships behind deprives Nagumo of anti-aircraft guns and scout planes. Sailing blindly into the Pacific, the Imperial Japanese Navy enters the combat radius of an American fleet they believe is still in Hawaii. Yamamoto's elaborate plan to hide his strength has effectively stripped his most important ships of their armor. The geometry of the battle favors Nimitz. On the morning of June 4th, the Japanese initiate their destructive bombing runs over the tiny Midway Atoll. They are entirely unaware that American carrier planes are already arming for a strike just over the horizon. Then, a delayed Japanese scout plane finally radios in a report. An American naval force has been spotted to the east. Nagumo is caught entirely off guard, freezing his operational rhythm as he tries to assess the new threat. This hesitation triggers chaos on the Japanese flight decks. Nagumo had kept half his planes in reserve, armed with land attack bombs for a second strike on the island. Now, crews are ordered to frantically disarm those planes and swap the land bombs for ship-killing torpedoes. Because of the rush, armorers lack the time to safely stow the removed ordnance below in the magazines. High-explosive bombs are left sitting directly on the enclosed wooden hangar decks, right next to active, highly flammable aviation fuel hoses. Deprived of early warning, Nagumo's hesitation turns his own aircraft carriers into massive floating powder kegs, precisely as the Americans arrive. The American attack is disjointed and uncoordinated. Different squadrons arrive over the Japanese fleet piecemeal, separated by altitude and time. The first to strike are the slow, low-flying American torpedo bombers. Attacking without fighter escorts, they are decimated by the defending Japanese Zero fighters. They fail to score a hit, but their sacrifice pulls the Zeros down to sea level, leaving the skies high above the carriers completely undefended. At that exact moment, 3 squadrons of American dive bombers arrive at high altitude. Looking down, they find the Japanese carriers with their fighter screens totally out of position. The Americans pitch into steep dives. Heavy, armor-piercing bombs smash straight through the wooden flight decks and detonate inside the hangar bays. Those stacked bombs and snaking fuel lines ignite, triggering uncontrollable chain reactions. In the span of just 6 minutes of combat, 3 of Japan's most powerful fleet carriers, Akagi, Kaga, and Soryu, are reduced to burning, unsalvageable derelicts. A fourth carrier, Hiryu, manages to launch a counterstrike that fatally wounds the USS Yorktown, but American dive bombers quickly find Hiryu and cripple her as well. Over the next 2 days, heavy cruisers like the Makua are also bombed into burning wrecks. Despite losing his striking force, Yamamoto still possesses a massive surface fleet. But because of his complex dispersal plan, those heavy battleships are hundreds of miles away. They are entirely useless, unable to launch a counterattack or protect the survivors. Cracking the JN-25B code allowed Nimitz to exploit the physical gaps in Yamamoto's sprawling formation. By knowing the enemy's intent, the Americans inverted the entire engagement, turning an overwhelming Japanese trap into a localized ambush. The Battle of Midway cost the Imperial Japanese Navy its offensive core and thousands of irreplaceable veteran sailors. By turning the enemy's own complex strategy against them, the United States permanently shifted the balance of power in the Pacific.